What's going on, y'all? Welcome back. It's Ars. Let's get productive. So, it's the holiday season, and around this time of year, all of these companies are coming out with new plugins, new VSTs to try to get in the hands of all of you producers for Black Friday and give you guys some amazing deals on VSTs and plugins. So it's no surprise that one of my favorite companies, Thenatan, actually dropped two brand new plugins. One is called Black, and Black is a trap plugin full of bells, brass, all of your favorite sounds that you can use in your trap beats. Along with that, he also released Devil, which is a distortion style plugin. Both of these things are really, really dope. So we're gonna check these two plugins out, Black, Devil. Let's see what this thing is all about. So as always, I have Logic queued up, and this is Black and Devil. Now, these are two completely separate VSTs, but they kind of work well together. Like I said, Black is a trap VST, a trap style VST, meaning the presets and the sounds that come loaded up inside of this thing are made and curated in a way that will aid you in your trap production, your trap style production. There's over 800 different sampled sounds inside of this thing, and you can really mix and match them up between 4 different playable engines to make your own presets and your own sounds to really give you a unique flair in your trap production. Now, one of the things I love about Thenatan is they are incredible with their presets. Like, their sound design department is super, super fire. So I can't wait to dive into this thing and check that stuff out. And then, like I said, we have the Devil plugin, which is a distortion style plugin, something you can use on your 808s, or something you could do to just add a little bit of extra grit and an added textured layer to some of your sounds to bring it out in the mix a little bit more. So we're gonna see how these things work together. But before we get into what's happening underneath the hood, let's just take a look at the UI design in itself. We'll start off with Black over here, and as you can see, it has a similar aesthetic to a couple of his other VSTs. He has another VST called Brass and another VST called Bells. And both of those VSTs kind of follow the same design style, where you have this center square in the middle here where you can randomize the different sounds by moving it around. It has a very minimalist approach, very clean looking, high resolution. So this one is all black, like the name of the VST. The letters are in gray, and you have the hints of red. I love how that looks. Now, if we head over here to the Devil side of things, it gets a little bit more interesting. You have this really cool graphic animated kind of stardust happening in the background. I guess you could call it embers, but they're white. And you have this big Devil logo here. And as you go through the different distortion types over here in the bottom, you'll notice that the horns change on that Devil logo. We're gonna get into what these things do in the plugin itself in just a second, but I just want to walk you through the UI design a little bit so that you can see how clean everything looks. And that's one of the things that I really like about Thenatan. They make really cool plugins, but they also make really cool looking plugins. So that's really dope. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off with Black first. We're going to take a look at what's happening over here in the Black plugin, and then we'll go over to Devil and we'll check that out in a second. So let's just get Devil off the screen here for a second and let's focus on Black. Now, if you take a look at what's happening here on the Black plugin, like I said, it shares a similar aesthetic to a couple of his other VSTs, where you have this center dial over here in the middle, and you can kind of move it around the screen, and that is going to randomize your samples. Like I said earlier, you have 4 different sample engines. If you look down here at the bottom, you have your 4 layers here, and you can highlight these circles here to turn those layers on or off. And over here right next to it, you have all of your different sample types. And you can move through the different samples just by changing the numbers. So every single sampled sound inside of this thing is assigned a number. And by moving through the numbers, you can change the different sampled sounds. So to give you an example of what I'm talking about. And you'll notice when I move this number right here, the sample in layer 3 changes. So this is how you're gonna kind of come up with your own presets and do your sound design thing, is by changing these samples around on the different layers over here. That's how you're gonna kind of come up with your own preset. But this thing already comes loaded up with a bunch of different presets, and the presets are fire. So we're gonna go through those in a little bit, but just to get back to what's happening on the screen over here, you have your attack, you have your release, standard stuff, you have your width right here, and you can kind of play with that. You have your color knob here, and that's gonna change the color of your sound. You have your gain knob right over here, and that's pretty straightforward. Up here at the top, you can turn this on, and this is gonna bring you over to zapper and vibrato. You turn on zapper, and you can get a really cool zapped effect over here by changing the pitch, the rise, and the fall by the milliseconds of this zapper effect right over here. So that's a really cool added effect to have. You can kind of take your sounds and just bend them and twist them and take them to a whole nother level. And right over here, you have vibrato. We'll turn zapper off. And that's gonna give you that wobble effect on your sounds, and you can adjust the speed. You can change the pitch around. So yeah, you could play around with vibrato, but that's what you get when you click this circle button right up here at the top. Right over here next to the circle, you have your keyboard. If you click the icon next to that, this is gonna bring you over to the controls for the actual 4 layers of your presets. So you have layer A, B, C, and D. And for each of those layers, you can adjust the gain individually, the pan, or the tuning and the pitch, the high pass and the low pass filters for each one of the samples in each one of the layers individually. So that's really cool. You could turn on rev right here, and that's gonna reverse the sound in that layer. So really cool stuff. If you click right over here, this is gonna bring you to your effects section, and in effects, you have a drive distortion effect, you have a delay effect, you have a reverb effect, you have your panner effect right over here, you have a high pass and a low pass filter, you have a New York style compressor, you have your EQ section right over here, and you have an 8-bit bit crusher right over here down at the bottom. Up here at the top left corner, you click on this magnifying glass, and this is gonna bring you to your factory presets. And there's a bunch of presets already loaded up inside of this thing. Like I said, you could create your own presets via moving the different samples around under the different layers, and you can save those presets just by hitting this plus button right here. You could create a category for your presets. So I'd call mine's, so let's say I call my category Ars. I press OK. Then you go over to your category, press the plus button right over here on the right, and that is how you're gonna save the name of your preset. You could type whatever name you want. I'll call this one Giga. You press OK, and that's one of your presets right there. You can get out of that just by pressing the magnifying glass again. And if you don't wanna just open up the presets, if you wanna just keep it simple and just move and scroll through the presets, you can just press the forward or backwards arrow. And then you could just go through the presets like that. This is actually one of my favorite sounds on this VST. I love this bell sound. And like I said, if you move this center dial around, it'll randomize those samples for you. So this isn't pre-programmed. This is actual randomization of the samples. You'll notice as I'm moving it around, the numbers are randomly changing. So that's really, really cool if you just have it a bit of beat block and you just want to find some interesting sounds to kind of spark your creativity. You can just play around with this center dial right here to get you where you need to be. But that's it as far as the UI goes. Very simple, very straightforward. Now, before we get into the presets, I'm going to take you guys through the presets like I always do and let you guys hear what some of the presets inside of Black sounds like. Let's bring up this Devil plugin really quickly. Let's close that. And let's just take a look at what's happening with Devil. Now, Devil is a really straightforward distortion plugin. Down here, you have 6 different distortion types, and you can go through those different distortion types to give you a different level of aggression in your distortion. The Devilize is going to tell the plugin how much of that distortion you want to add to your sound. You'll notice as I'm going all the way over here to this aggressive ass distortion, and you'll notice as I play the sound and raise the decibels and under Devilize, it's going to become more distorted. So you can kind of do like a parallel distortion kind of thing, because you can go crazy with the distortion via Devilize, but then you can blend it with the mix right over here and just turn the mix down. And you can mix between your dry and your wet signal. So if you just wanted to give your sound a little bit of grit, you don't have to go overboard with it. You also have reduction over here. And you can really warp your sound and completely change the dynamics of it. So for example, this is the sound without the plugin on. And this is the sound with Devil on. So it's a very straightforward distortion plugin, very easy to use, and it's an actual good distortion. You can go through the different distortion types, so if you don't want anything that aggressive, you go down here. This one is a little bit different. You could turn down the redux. You could turn it off completely and just deal with distortion. So let's just hear what the distortion sounds like without redux on. So this is the first one here. I only have it turned up to 19% in the mix and 39 decibels on the Devilize. Go to the next distortion type. Go to the next one. That sounds crazy. That sounds like an electric guitar right there. And if that's a little over the top, you can just turn Devilize down a little bit. You'll notice as I turn Devilize down, he gets a little less heated. His ears start becoming less red, and you just turn that down. You could go to the next distortion type. This one gives you a nice grit to your sound. So that's it. That's it for Devil. It's a really straightforward plugin, super easy to use, super clean looking, really dope UI, but it's something that you can just go to really quickly and add on your 808s or your synth sounds if you really want to brighten it a little bit and have it punch through your mix a little bit. But we're going to jump back to Black, because that is the main VST that I wanted to cover over here. Now, what we're gonna do right now is we're gonna go through some of the presets inside of Black. Like I said, it's 4 different layers inside of this VST, and you can create your own presets and your own sounds, which makes this thing really powerful. Like VSTs that allow you to do that are automatically really great VSTs if they have really dope samples in them. If the VST has really great samples and it has a bunch of different layers, it allows you to create your own presets and do some really creative things. And his is full of really dope samples and really dope presets. So we're gonna check out some of these presets inside of Black. I'm gonna do it very random. I'm gonna just go through some of the sounds. I'm gonna go through some of the category. Now we have all kinds of different sounds in here. You have everything from effects to bass to bells. You have leads, you have plucks, You have a few pianos, you have a few strings, you have a few synths. So let's just start with some of let's just start with some of the vocal samples and see what these sound like. We could go through some of the synth sounds. Really cool sounding synths. Really cool stuff. So as you'll notice, as I'm pressing the sound, it has a lot of character. Like after you hit the sound, it's not just a straightforward brass sound or bell sound. There's a lot of movement in the sounds, and I love that. I love sounds that have a lot of character and give you a lot of feeling even beyond what it's supposed to be. So it's not just a piano or just a synth. There's a lot of movement happening inside the preset, and I love that. And the reason that's really important for a VST like this is because, like I said, it's a VST that's dedicated for trap. And trap works really well when you don't overcrowd it with melodies and sounds. When you make it about the kick, you make it about the snare, you make it about the 808. You have really interesting sounds that allow you to be very minimal with the kind of melody and chords you create inside of that beat, because the sounds are so interesting that you don't have to overcrowd it with a bunch of heavily overly produced compositions. And I think the best VSTs that allow you to do that are the VSTs that have presets and samples inside of them that are interesting enough that you don't have to overcrowd the beat. You could just use a sample that just sounds really cool and interesting. And I think that this VST has a lot of that going on inside of it. Let's check out some of these pianos. Really cool sounding. This piano kind of has like a synth feel to it. Really cool sounding plucks. I like that one. Let's check out some of these pads. This one is really, really nice. This is a nice one. Let's check out some of these leads. He even has some cool guitars inside of this thing. Effects. And these are things that are going to sound really good if you try to pair them up and layer them underneath other samples in your layers. You could get some really interesting presets going with this stuff. He has bass. I'm just playing the higher octaves of it. I really like this bass. Kind of has like a live feel to it. That's a nice one right there. Kind of feels like something you would use on a Drake kind of Toronto sound type beat. That bass is crazy. He has bells. That's really dope. And like I said, at any time, you can add layers to the sound and change the sound up. So right now, this bell, as you can see right here, is only using 2 of the 4 layers. And the sample 21 and sample 45, I could highlight another layer and add that in there. And I can change the sample. And I can add a 4th layer. There we go. I like how that sounds. I like how that sounds a lot. I can widen this a little bit. I could go over here to the actual section of the layers. I could put some of these layers in reverse. Let's put A in reverse. That's really dope. I'm actually gonna save that preset right now because I like how that sounds. So I'm gonna go right here, I'm gonna go up to Ars, and I'm gonna add this, and I'm gonna call this BL for Bell. I'm gonna call this Escape, type Escape. And I'm gonna save it, and now I have that preset saved. So yeah, like I said, really dope stuff. This thing is full of sounds. I didn't go through anything close to all the sounds inside of this thing, or all of the different combinations you could come up with when using this thing. So what I want to do right now is I want to get right into the pickup. I want to show you guys a beat that I made using Black. Now, with the exception of the drums, all of the sounds that you hear inside of this beat are sounds that come out of Black. I also added Devil to some of the sounds to give it a little bit of a distorted effect. So let's bring Devil up on the screen here, give it a little bit of shine. Yeah, I added Devil over to some of these sounds just to give it, give it more texture. Some of the sounds were really warm and I wanted them to be have a little more grit to it. So I added Devil to that. So let's listen back to this beat and hear what this beat sounds like that I made using Black and a bit of Devil distortion on some of these sounds. So let's listen to this thing back. And that's it. That's the beat I made using Black and Devil. Now, like I said, these two plugins are marketed as trap VSTs and trap plugins, but you could use them on anything. You can make any kind of beat with Black. There's so many different kind of sounds in that thing. And you can use the Devil distortion plugin on anything you want to use it on. So these are two really great, really new and really cool gems that you can add into your production flow to give you a new sound and maybe spark some new inspiration in your next beat. So let me know what you guys think. Is this something you can see yourself adding to your arsenal? As always, leave a comment down below and let me know if there's any new plugins or VSTs you want to see me review on this channel. If you're new to this channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on your notifications so you can stay notified anytime I drop a new video. And I'll catch you guys on the next one.